great to be here, man. Thank you. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And hey, you know what? Albertus, I graduated in 2015. You graduated in 2013, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So, hey, two Albertus boys, I mean, it's nothing better than having that, right?
When you reached out to me, I was like, hey, fellow Falcon, fellow Albertus alum. I can't say no to that. You know what I mean? So, it's always exciting to reconnect with guys that were down there in New Haven with me, and obviously I know you were an athlete and everything too. So, being part of those programs, it was always a lot of fun. So, good to
Yeah.
reconnect.
And we're going to hit on the program, specifically what you did with the basketball program, because you played for a number of years. You won multiple championships, and you played under one of the best, probably Division III coaches that this country probably has ever even seen or heard of, in Coach Oliver. But we'll get to that in just a minute. I kind of want to hit on your background now. Kind of take me in, just give me a synopsis of kind of your career before you started to go into the Albertus side.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up in Wallingford, Connecticut, and I played for 4 years at Lyman Hall in Wallingford. I experienced every end of the spectrum in high school basketball. I mean, my sophomore season, we won one game, and then you come back junior year, lost in the state finals at Gamble Pavilion, and made another run at it my senior year, came up a little bit short. But then after graduating high school, ended up at Albertus. It was kind of funny how that all happened. I was, going through the AAU circuit and playing AAU tournaments all over the Northeast, and, going to Florida and Tennessee and Kentucky and all these different AAU tournaments for national events and exposure events and things like that. And, I had a decent Division III recruitment, but there was nothing that I was really sold on, and nothing really that I thought that I'd have like a real position secured at any of the spots that, I was talking to coaches. So it was kind of like a last minute thing where, I connected with Mitch, and he's like, wow, I didn't know you were still available. You had your decision yet. I was in like probably May of my senior year of high school, really. And so he's like, you want to come here? He's like, you'll play? I said, okay, there you go. And I said, it's close to home. I recognized that he was building a program at Albertus. I had the opportunity to actually play with two of my former AAU teammates. One was my high school teammate, Jefferson Laura, and then my AAU teammate, Mike Sweeney from Milford at Foreign High School. I knew that, the three of us were going to go there and, be roommates and play hoop, and my parents would be able to come see my games. And so it was kind of the best of both worlds. And, I just, with what Mitch was building there, it proved to be the right decision, as, we had a lot of success while I was there, which was really, really fun.
When I envision Mitch kind of going into, probably not now because of COVID, but before it, when he would go to a young man's house that he's trying to recruit, I kind of think of him doing what Nick Saban does, which is he walks in, he puts down, a bag of rings and says, I don't need to say another word. But, in all seriousness, though, in what, I was able to watch a lot of Mitch's practices. And one thing that really kind of struck me was how technically sound they were, and everything was structured. Everything had a plan, and it really showed in your guys' performance on the court.
Well, it's funny you say about the recruiting, because when he was recruiting me, he hadn't won any championships yet. All right. So when he inherited the program, I want to say he only won a handful of games the first couple of years. The year before we got there, I think they were like the 7 or 8 seed in the GNAC tournament, and they had a huge upset win. I want to say it was over Emerson. I could be getting some of these wrong, but I know that it was something in that realm. And then my freshman year, we won the whole thing, and it kind of has taken off from there. I think it was 7 out of the next 10 years Albertus won the GNAC championship, even after I had left. But his success, it wasn't by accident. I mean, what he does, and like you said, every practice is planned down to the second, to the minute. I bet you, if you ask Mitch what the practice plan was on January 7th of 2016, he could pull up a binder and tell you exactly what he was working on that night and exact stats they were going over. That's just the kind of guy he was, and that's the kind of preparation that we, took part in before every single game. And, after every game, the film sessions, I mean, you didn't get away with anything. Didn't matter who you were. I mean, I played with All-Americans with Darius Watson and, Ray Askew. And it didn't matter if you were one of those guys or one of the guys at the end of the bench. You were not getting away with anything during film session. You were not getting away with anything during practice. And, we kept each other accountable. We had a really good group of guys, and, he does a great job of recruiting and bringing in good players and talented guys. And, it's amazing the success that he's had. It really is.
It kind of almost sounds like to me, kind of like Belichickian, where, when Belichick had Tom Brady, he held him to the same standard as he would the 53rd guy on the roster. And I think to be able to do that with guys like you mentioned, Ray, Darius, I mean, Albertus, when I was there from 2011 to 2015 when I graduated, they were, littered of just a bunch of talented players. But the way that he was able to hold those guys accountable, no matter how talented or how great they were, all GNAC or all American, whatever, that speaks to the rest of the team, because now it's like, oh, if he's yelling at Darius, then I better get my butt into gear.
Without a doubt. And I mean, the level of our practices, our practices were absolutely brutal. And, this is the kind of thing that I try and, talk to my guys about, and the intensity that we had at practice. I mean, we would kill each other. I mean, we would just go after it, and you had no choice. I mean, we had 18 guys on the roster fighting for 5 spots on the floor at any given time. And Mitch recognized that, and he put us in competitive situations in practice. And, the games they were so much easier than practice. It wasn't even funny. I mean, by the time we were so excited for game day, because we were just beating the heck out of each other all week. And finally get to take it out on somebody else. It was fun. It was fun. And we had a talented group where in the style Mitch had playing, where it was just get the ball to the net, run the floor, everyone's going to get shots. Everyone's going to, get some touches. And, it was high octane offense. I mean, we were averaging 90 plus points a game every year, and so it was a fun style of basketball. And, as like I said, practice was grueling, but it paid off. I mean, when you win the league championship 3 out of 4 years, you're willing to put yourself through those types of practices and those type of off-season conditioning and all that different stuff. And that's all part of his program. So, like I said, the success was not by accident.
There was one play in particular that I remember, because I think I don't know if it was baseball practice or maybe I was just in the gym. I can't remember exactly, but I remember watching you guys practice, and it was towards the end of your practice. And it was a particular drill where Mitch would put, I think it was about 5 seconds on the clock. And you'd have to go the full length of the court, but it had to be either a dribble before or after or something. But it was a quick shot, because I couldn't tell exactly what Mitch was doing there. But then I saw it happen, and I have the video on my phone. And I think it was against Suffolk, and Kyle Wiggins is the one that, exactly what I'm talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw him, and no lie, I saw that when that shot was made, I instantly thought to myself, I just saw him do this 2 days ago. Mitch was practicing this. Like, was he thinking this ahead of everyone?
Listen, if you only knew, let me tell you, we every day at the end of practice, and I don't want to give away too many of Mitch's secrets here, because he'll yell at me. I know that, but literally at the end of every practice, we practice all of those situations, and it was literally every day. It wasn't like did it once there just to make sure we're ready. Every single day, we practice situation being down 3 with 5 seconds, being down 3 with 10 seconds, being down 3 with 1 second, okay? Maybe having one free throw down 2 and you got to miss intentionally. I mean, when you talk about, being prepared for every situation, I mean, that's what we were. And you could see it win games. I mean, the Kyle Wiggins shot, there was another time that, they won a game or put a game to overtime from that specific play. And there's a reason that like Kyle hit that shot and the play was executed, because those guys had practiced that play every single day at practice leading up to that moment. And, I remember when we used to have those situations, I don't remember us ever winning a game on it while I was there, but I remember maybe before a half or something like that, we get excited that we get to run those plays, because literally we're sitting there, we practiced them ad nauseum, leading up to those situations. Obviously it's a high intensity situation. So it's nice to understand that everyone knows exactly what's going to happen. You've done it before, and you know you're going to execute. And so when I watched that highlight of Kyle hitting that shot, I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, it's it was just so funny because I knew exactly the preparation that went into that. So
I'm just amazed I still have it on my phone. I mean, it's
yeah,
something
it is. It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
because I'm hoping to have Mitch on one day because I want to be like, hey, by the way, this video I have of you, can you just explain to me how long you practiced this for? Because
Right.
it's just astounding. But again, to go back to kind of the team aspect and how you guys averaged, what was it, well over 90 points, during your time, and probably even more than that. Was there times during the season, because I know in the games that I did follow while you played and even thereafter, I know a lot of times there would be 6, 7, 8 games where it was just blowouts. You guys were just running through teams. So how did Mitch and more so the players stay focused? Because I'm sure there were some guys that were like, oh, hey, we're going to score 100. It's going to be easy.
Right. Well, I mean, I think part of it was that he never let us really, overlook anybody. And, he would, if we even mentioned the team that we were going to be playing, next week or the week after or something like that, whether it was a rivalry game or whatever, if we even mentioned it at practice, it'd be, there'd be hell to pay. I mean, it was just next game, next opponent. The next game is the most important game. And, just trying to keep a really narrow focus on, who we were playing and what job needed to be done. And like I said, when you're in practice and you're beating the head each other, because it didn't matter if we were playing the second best team in the league or the worst team in the league, our practices were still the same every single day. So, we were preparing the same way for every single game. And, there were some teams in our league that were a little bit weaker that, we did enjoy beating up on pretty good. And, it was always fun because there's 18 guys on the roster, like I said, fighting for 5 spots. And it was fun to empty the bench and let guys that, maybe didn't get a chance to rock all the time get in there and show what they could do. Because honestly, the 15th, 16th, 17th guy on our bench probably could have been starting for some of the other teams in our league at the time. And I think, since Albertus has won as many championships as they have in the last couple of years, the league, you've seen it get more competitive from top to bottom. I think the addition of St. Joe's helps with that as well. And, just overall, the league has really improved. I mean, I watch, some of the teams that we used to beat up on while I was there, they're not pushovers the way they used to be. And I honestly credit that to Mitch and they got teams get tired of getting beat up like that, believe me. And, they're going to work their butt off to get better and to compete. So, it didn't really matter. That's where the preparation comes in. And that's the same thing I try and preach to my guys, that you can't overlook anybody. It does not matter, what their win-loss is. If they're better than you on that specific night, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. So
and that's a good point that you make about how, the teams in the GNAC got so tired of getting their butt whooped. They had to kick themselves into gear as far as getting better recruitment wise and players and such. So it's almost like Mitch helped both Albertus,
right,
but he also helped the conference itself because then, like I mentioned, he, the Anna Marias, the Suffolks when they were there, St. Joe, so on and so forth. They know when they're going, Albertus is the Patriots of the GNAC. If you want to take down the champ, you have to be prepared and ready.
Absolutely. And that's definitely what I've seen over the last couple of years. I don't see as many games as I would like to, but even I think I went to the game against Suffolk this year in the league tournament, and Albertus was a high seed, Suffolk was one of the lower seeds, and it was a really, really competitive game. And you could tell, and one thing he always told us, and it made perfect sense, was when you're winning league championships, you are going to get every single team's best shot. And, like you said with the New England Patriots, every team wants to beat them. And at the time, every team wanted to beat us. And believe me, we didn't win every game. And when people beat us, they enjoyed it. And they made it very, very clear that they enjoyed beating us. And that kind of fueled us even more, that, we did not want to give anybody that satisfaction of getting the upset win or whatever it was against us. So.
Now, as you were playing throughout your career at Albertus, was there ever a time where you thought, well, because obviously I'm sure you knew like maybe playing overseas was an opportunity or maybe being able to have a chance to play after college could have been something. But when did it come to you like, oh, this coach, like when did coaching, I guess, really kind of start to hit you?
Well, I grew up in a basketball family, and my dad was a high school basketball coach for 40 plus years. And he started a club AU team back in the 80s. It was actually the first girls AAU club in the entire state of Connecticut, the Connecticut Starters. And so I was coaching with the Starters from the time basically I was like 16 years old. I was 16. I was coaching an 11 and under girls AAU team. And, you know, I just loved coaching. I coached at camps. I coached, obviously, AAU. And then as soon as I graduated, you know, I became a teacher as soon as I graduated at Albertus. And Mitch called me up one day. He goes, "Hey, my old high schooler, he's from Milford, and he said Foreign High School is looking for a freshman coach. You want the job?" He goes, "It's yours if you want it." And I was like, "Sure, you know, why not? You know, I mean, I missed the game. I think it was maybe one season after I graduated. I don't even know, but I think it was like one winter where I didn't have basketball, and I was just like, wow, you know, I miss being in the gym, I miss being around it. You know, I got back involved play, so I was there for 2 seasons before I got hired at Hand, and that was really the start of it for me.
Did Mitch ever think, or did he ever make a comment to you during your playing career that you had a chance to be a coach? Because I almost feel like, you know, and not to take anything away from you, you were a very talented player, but, you know, obviously when people think of Albertus, you know, Darius and Ray and so on. But
Right.
I almost feel like for you specifically, you were the guy who, you know, to me, you were kind of like the quarterback as far as directing people, telling them where to go, knowing the fundamental side of basketball. And I feel like you were the one that was always next to Mitch being like, "Hey, what about this? What do you think of that? What about this play?" Am I
Right.
wrong?
Well, no, you're exactly right. I mean, I knew my role, and I just did whatever I could to play that role to the best of my ability. I mean, like you said, the guys that I was playing with, I mean, at one point, I think it was my, I want to say my sophomore year, we had like 4,000-point scorers on the roster. I mean, you talk Walden St. Just, Arshad Jackson, obviously Ray, Darius. I mean, we were loaded. I mean, we're scoring 90 a game, you know, and you're getting it in bunches from all these different guys. They didn't need me to score, to be completely honest. Sometimes you just need a guy that's going to play defense, you know, make the right play on offense, whether it's, you know, making the right cut, making the right extra pass, all that different stuff. And I recognize that, you know, and just from my experience, you know, watching my dad coach or you know, I'm a student of the game. I've always have been. And that's, you know, as a coach, I continue to try and learn from all the best coaches I can. And, you know, that's the same type of attitude I try and teach my guys, that we don't need everybody to go out and give us 20 a game. You know, you need some guys on the team that are going to play their role and play it to the best of their ability. And that's literally what I try to do. So I never try to do too much. Obviously try to contribute as much as I can in any way possible. And, you know, I tried being the guy at practice that, you know, if maybe we were having a low energy day, maybe be the guy that just, you know, is going nuts on the sideline or diving on the floor, trying to get people riled up. And so whatever I had to do, what I tried to do. And, you know, I'm 5'8". I was pretty quick, but, you know, at the same time, I wasn't the most athletic kid in the world, or was the most athletic kid in the GNAC. So, you know, I had to do whatever I could to earn my time, earn my minutes, and play my role to the best of my ability. And that's really what I tried to do.
You know, that mature approach was definitely needed because you were the youngest coach, if I remember, when you were hired by Hand. And I'm sure that, you know, in some ways for you, you know, it was an adjustment just to kind of get your feet wet being with a program like Hand with, you know, the amount of sports which are just top of the top. I mean, the baseball, the football, you know, girls basketball with Coach Treadwell, who I've had on this podcast. He's a great guy,
Yep.
by the way.
Yeah, he is.
Very highly of you, but he's just built, I think, you know, in some ways, a mini dynasty with Hand. And I think with what you're doing with Hand, as far as kind of laying the foundation, the building blocks, you've had some good years, you've had some years, but still, it's never going to be a straight line. There's going to be different avenues.
Right. I mean, it's been a process at Hand. I mean, I'm going to be going into my 5th season. You know, I've only have one state tournament win in my 4 years, and you know, everyone talks about Hand and the great sports programs they have, and they kind of like to leave out basketball, or boys basketball, I should say, you know, because obviously the girls are as successful as they are. But you know, I keep preaching to my guys that, you know, we're trying to build something here, something that's going to last, you know, the culture of the program that is going to last, you know, long past the time that they graduate, you know, and I think we're really starting to turn a corner with that. with the talent that we have this year. This is the first real off season that I've had where I've had guys, hitting me up for conditioning plans, hitting me up for skill plans or whatever things that they could do on their own. Obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, so guys might have been bored, but this is the first real year where I have basketball players, guys that are dedicated to basketball as opposed to having football players that play basketball, baseball players that play basketball, because you can hand. I mean, the football team wins state championships. The soccer teams, 4 straight state championships. The girls team wins titles. I mean, you name it, the programs are successful. And so basketball historically has not had that success. I don't think we have a state championship in the history of our school. And so that's something that, I remind our guys of every single day if I can. You know what I mean? And so we got to realize that it's okay. The other programs might have a history of success, but we certainly don't. So you got to work even that much harder to try and build towards that success. And it's got to be an everyday approach, no days off, no matter what we're doing, whether it's you're stretching, whether you're in layup lines, whatever it is, you got to take it with a really serious approach because you're an underdog. You really are. And so I think we're starting to get to that point. This year we're probably, it's the most talented team that I've had since I've been at hand. And it's probably the most serious group of guys that I've had as far as wanting to be successful. And it'd be a shame if we didn't get to play, but I think that attitude that we're starting to build is starting to take form and we'll start to pay dividends as we move forward the next couple of years.
And that underdog that you kept mentioning, it kind of rings, a little bit to me, only because you mentioned how when you played at Albertus, you were 5'8", you played with a bunch of studs left and right. I mean, it's almost like playing in Kentucky. It's all-American, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. And then you mentioned you weren't the biggest. And then you go off, and now you're at a program which, as you mentioned, hasn't had a lot of success. But if and when, and I think when it does, there's going to be, a lot of people are never going to forget that success. But I almost feel like having that underdog mentality can bode well, only because right now you're trying to build what is a positive winning culture, not even so much winning titles every year, but
right.
just getting to get to the state playoff consecutive, get to the Division III playoffs consecutively, build that kind of chemistry, build the, kind of get that in a way where then going forward, then you can shoot for state titles.
Without a doubt. And, we got to really just experience a little bit of success, I think, and that'll even make us even more motivated. But, I keep telling the guys that, I want you to experience things. Like I haven't played in a state championship game, making a couple deep runs into the tournament. I saw what it did for our community in Wallingford and just the support that we got from, the students and the parents and just people that they had no affiliation with Lyman Hall at all, that were just so excited to watch us play and watch us make a run. And in Madison, if we ever started to experience that type of success, I mean, you see it with the other sports. I mean, the entire community rallies around our teams. And I want my guys to be able to experience that. And, in basketball, it's just on another level when you got a packed gym for a state quarterfinal, state semifinal game. I mean, the buzz is it's just different. And, I get chills even thinking about it because, it's just an exciting feeling. And I want my guys to really experience that, but they have to realize, and this is what we preach on a day in, day out basis, that it's not just going to happen, and it doesn't really matter, you're doing the season. It's got to be preseason. It's got to be off season. You got to be putting in the work on a regular basis throughout the year to prepare yourself for those type of successful moments. And, like I said, this year I have a lot of guys that have put in that work. I just know for a fact that there's guys that, during this pandemic were out there in their driveways getting shots up, or they were out there getting workouts in on a regular basis, or they were going down to any outdoor court they could find playing pickup just because they wanted to get a ball in their hand. And, that type of attitude, that type of mentality, just the love of the game and the willingness to put in the effort and the work, it's going to pay off. It really is. So that's why, I got my fingers crossed that we're going to have a year this year. The numbers don't look great, but, they did come out with a tentative plan for us. So, I want my guys to be able to show what they've been working on and, show the hard work they've been putting in. So, we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Would you say that maybe, as you mentioned about how the players, seem to be more focused as far as wanting to kind of change things and move things more towards a positive, consistent direction? Not to say that, that they didn't train, but would you say that maybe there's a difference as far as going into this year? And what would that difference be exactly? Is it because of experience, or is it just because of the hunger and the drive?
I think really it's the hunger, the drive, the love of basketball. I mean, like I said, these a good chunk of my guys this year they're basketball players. They just love the game, and that's their sport. Some of them want to play in college at the next level, and they realize that if you want to play at the next level, you want to make those strides. It's got to be a full year, effort. And I think that's really been the difference, that guys that are willing to put in that work, and not even just willing to put in work, but they enjoy doing it. They enjoy being down at the park playing pickup games, all hours of the night. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was when I was a kid. I wanted to play basketball all the time. Didn't matter where or when it was. I just wanted to play ball. And, I see a lot more of that in the guys that I have this year than I have in the past. And, I think, just having that love of the game is really something that can take you a long way.
I would think too, being in Division 3 kind of bodes well for you just because of where the program is right now. Like if you guys were in Division 1, no offense, the way you guys are right now with what Division 1 is. I mean, I've seen a lot of Division 1 games over the last few years.
They're loaded. I mean, the team Division 1 they're good. They're good. We're not there yet, that's for sure.
But I think being in Division 3 is very good only because of where the program is, and because, not to say that it's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy, but if you guys get there, I think there are, depending on where you are in the bracket, because if there is a season, I'm hoping there is, and I think when you guys make the playoffs, because I think the talent is there with you at the head coaching position, your 5th season, you guys could surprise some people. You guys could make a little bit of a run, and who knows, if you get experience in your own playoff as far as within your conference, even that can be something you can build on going into the state playoffs.
Without a doubt. And I think Division 3 is it's a perfect spot for us, at least where we're at this point, between the size of our school and just, the talent level that we have. Division 3 is a great spot. I mean, would I love to, make some noise in Division 3 and someday move up to Division 2, make Division 1? Who knows? You never know. But, I think we're in a really good spot. And I think what helps us a lot is that we play a pretty brutal league schedule every year. I mean, we played Cross and Hillhouse last 2 or 3 years, and obviously you got Notre Dame in the league, got Hamden in the league. All these teams they're Division 1 teams, and you're going to have to compete with them on a day in, day out basis in the league. And so if you can hold your own in the league and win 10 games in the league, who knows what you can do once you get to a Division 3 playoff, because a lot of times your league schedule is going to be more difficult than some of the teams that you're going to find in that Division 3. That being said, it comes March, anything can happen for any team. But it definitely helps being tested and put in those difficult situations every week in the regular season, for sure.
As someone who's close to my age, I feel like if I ask you this question, I think we may see eye to eye here, but have you noticed anything about the game of basketball as far as at the high school level, and how it's maybe started to change because of what they're seeing both at the Division 1 and even 2 and 3, but also the pro game? Because as they're seeing, I mean, Golden State over the last couple of years, we saw what the Lakers were doing. It's a lot of outside shooting, kind of the short perimeter game, and especially within the paint is kind of being lost. Is that something that you're trying to teach as far as the outside Golden State level, or way, I should say? Or are you trying to stay within to the paint, or trying to do a mixture of both?
Well, the game is definitely changing. I mean, from the NBA down, I mean, I think no matter what level you're playing at now, almost every player is expected to be able to handle the basketball, be able to step out and shoot it. And maybe not as much at the high school level. I think now if you have a couple of kids, you can still have a solid interior game. I think that's going to work to your advantage. But every kid, even your 6'5", 6'6" kids want to step out and shoot the basketball. You know what I mean? And, that's the way the game is moving, and especially when you get to the higher level, when you get to Division 3, I mean, is just so ridiculously competitive now. I mean, it's like Division 3, you're getting a lot of kids that were, potentially scholarship players that decide they want to go to Division 3 to get a little more playing time or whatever the reason might be. And I mean, you got 6'5", 6'6" guards that can handle the basketball, can shoot it from anywhere. And, so guys of size that want to play at the next level, they have to develop those guard skills. And, high school is not at the point where it's positionless, almost like where the NBA is at, but it's definitely moving in that direction. I wish I've always been a proponent of the shot clock in high school. We don't have that yet, but I think that would make the game even more fun, more fast paced, more competitive for our level. But it's definitely interesting to watch the way it's evolved. And I mean, the NBA now, I mean, you see like the way the Rockets put out a lineup. It wasn't quite successful. It's not. I think they went a little too far with it, but you definitely see how everyone, even your 7-footers, are stepping out and shoot the ball at an unbelievable clip. So,
well, what the Rockets traded Capella, and then they were trying to go smaller, and it
right.
worked. It worked for a couple games, but as we saw against the Lakers, they just didn't have any height to go up against Anthony Davis and others. And I think look, going off of what I saw last year, there were a lot of great games I saw and I broadcasted for in the NVL. But I saw a couple teams put out 5 guards. I saw a 7-footer for Sacred Heart, Connor Tierney,
Yeah,
shoot threes with ease. So it's
yeah.
like seeing lineups where I had to double check and be like, 1, 2, there's 5 guards here. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I understood why, because having 5 guards, you're playing basically a track meet and hoping the other team can get tired. But seeing that and seeing the growth of the game,
Right.
I can see why that's going.
And when you have 5 guards, when you have 5 kids on the floor that can handle the basketball and shoot it, I mean, the space you're able to create and the matchup issues you're able to create on the offensive end they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable, and especially if you got guys that can defend. I mean, if you got 5 quick guys that can get down in a stance and defend, you're going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. You know what I mean? So, the more guards, the more guys you can have that can handle the rock is, the more successful you're going to be, especially at the school level for sure. So.
Coach, it's been great to be able to have you on. I just want to keep you for another couple minutes. I want to talk to you about PTT Hoops Club basketball, because I was reading up a little bit on kind of what you do as far as developing players. And that's kind of big because I'm a baseball junkie, and baseball is all about developing young players.
Right.
What you've been doing as far as with this program itself, just kind of talk to me about it.
Well, it's a grassroots club that started back in 2016. I've been involved for the last 2 or 3 seasons now. It was founded by Drew Dawson, who's actually the Choate Rosemary Hall prep school, their boys basketball coach. And, he got me involved, and me and him just had our philosophies just aligned, really well with each other as far as what we wanted to teach, both basketball wise and just how we wanted to teach kids and approach it. And, he's a former Division I coach, Division I player. And so most of the kids that we work with on the club level, they have aspirations of being either scholarship players or Division III players, and PTT has had a lot of kids. I don't even know how many that they've sent on to play college basketball at the next level. And that's because, we aim to really take the approach of putting in the hard work, taking it, minute by minute, play by play, really focusing in on the fundamentals and playing the game the right way. And, it's the same type of philosophy I try and teach at hand, where, it's 5 guys on the floor, sharing basketball, moving, cutting, playing together as one unit. And I know you mentioned, talking about the NBA and like the Warrior style basketball. When you had the Warriors and the Spurs of late, where you watch them play, where the basketball was zipping around left and right, everyone's getting touches, everyone's getting shots, the right passes are being made. I mean, that to me is just absolutely beautiful basketball. And, we're obviously not the Warriors or the Spurs, but, we try and teach similar concepts where, if there's a man that's open, get him the ball. He should be constantly moving and playing the game the right way. And, that's at the club level, the way we approach it at that. But PTT, we do player development, we do, youth camps, clinics, skill development, all that different kind of stuff to try and, just teach kids the joy of basketball and, how much fun it can be. And, I'm a coach at heart, and, I'm a teacher. And so, being able to all year round, is a lot of fun for me, because after the winter ends, it gets a little lonely. The gym gets a little lonely, and I get a little antsy. So it's nice to still be able to stay involved over the spring and do camps in the summer and things like that. So it's definitely been a lot of fun.
I think it's great, Coach, that kind of you're teaching the way, and maybe I'm biased because I like this way, but how
Yeah,
everybody gets a touch. The ball is always moving. As a broadcaster, I love nothing more than being able to call a game where everybody's getting touches and it's not a bunch of ISO ball, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Oh, by the way, both play for the Houston Rockets. That's why they don't win. But you know what I mean?
right, right.
I think being able to spray the basketball around, everyone gets a touch. It keeps players engaged, at least from what I've, just by talking with players and coaches, but also too, it gives the players, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, you're the professional here, but I
Yeah,
feel like with the players, for them to be able to just get a feel of the basketball, they need to understand of where that is, because if they don't touch the ball for a quarter and a half, you can't expect that kid to shoot a 15 footer or a three and be able to make it because he doesn't have the touch.
right, right. And it really goes into, like I said, me and Drew's philosophy really aligned. And the fact is that basketball is the ultimate team game. It takes more than one guy out there to do things the right way. And the thing that really we love the most is when a guy makes a great pass for a wide open layup, and then the guy that makes a layup is pointing out the guy just made him the pass, and you can just see that they're playing together as a group and they're sharing in each other's successes. And that's, as a coach, is the best. When you realize that you have guys that care about each other, that want to see each other be successful, and do things together. I mean, that's the best, man. It really is. And so it's been fun to be able to coach kids at such a high level, because the kids that we have in our program, they're all great kids first, and they all really take basketball seriously and want to get better on a daily basis. And so to be able to really push these kids to try and get to that next level, whether it's Division III or it's a kid looking for a Division I scholarship, everyone can improve, and everyone, it's just a lot of fun to work with guys that want to put in that type of work. So.
What is the next step for PTT Hoops as far? I know you mentioned the grassroots, and I know it kind of already has a nice base as is. But
Yeah.
is there talks about trying to expand it? Because I almost feel like, as far as Connecticut is concerned, there's so much talent that people, I think, don't realize because they go off to, prep schools out of state, or they go up to out of state colleges, and we kind of don't hear from them. But I almost feel like this could be something where it could keep the kids within Connecticut, but also allow the UConns and the others to be like, hey, PTT Hoops, they've got some talent here. Maybe we should go check them out because they're right in our backyard.
Right. Well, I mean, when it comes to club basketball, I mean, there are thousands of programs and teams all over the place doing their own thing. And with PTT, we've always tried to keep just a really high level of basketball, and so we only have like 2 or 3 teams, for the most part, and we keep it very small, and it's really close group. I mean, everyone knows each other on all the teams, and they practice together and they work together. And I'm sure as people, if anyone were to come and see our practice and the energy level that we practice with, and just the high level of basketball that's being taught, I think it would really blow up. And I think it's moving into that direction. I think we've kind of slowly grown over the last few years, and we've had some success at some of these bigger exposure events. But I don't really know what the future holds for us at this point. I know next spring, God willing, let's hope we'll be back to a normal life. We're playing some hoops and traveling around to different events. It'd be great to have maybe a few extra teams. Obviously we want to keep everything as high level as possible. So. We'll see what happens. But again, I got my fingers crossed. I just want to make sure that the ball keeps bouncing and we get to, play some of these games. That's what I'm hoping for. So.
Coach, I can tell you this much: Hand is in a good direction, positive with you at the helm. Same thing with PTT. I could see there's a lot going on. I know you're a busy guy, probably never have time to even be able to eat, let alone do a bunch of other stuff. But it's great to be able to see a former, Albertus Falcon being able to take what he learned from Mitch, the school, and others, and really being able to put himself forward and making a name for himself. And I think within the next couple of years, and hopefully if Hand can play this year, I think there's going to be some noise made from the Hand boys basketball program.
I appreciate it, man. I really thank you for having me on. Again, it's great to talk to a fellow alum, and I hope you see us out there this winter. Having some success, because like you said, I think we have some big things coming as well. But let's hope that we can all do it safe and healthy, and really get this season going. So we'll see what happens.
Nothing sounds better than a Division III game if you're playing against a Waterbury school, or we have to go down there. I'm completely fine.
Right.
I'll drive down to Hand to be able to do a game because, come on, what's better than having an alum broadcast for an alum? Come on, doesn't get better than that.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll just have to get you working on how to say my last name. Other than that, we'll be good to go.
Hey, I can get practice. It'll be easy as cake.
There we go. There we go, man. Awesome. I appreciate it.
No problem. That'll wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody, and be well.